Why, hello there, beautiful people. Welcome back to Crayniaq Gaming. We are back with the Buccaneers franchise here on Madden 20. And I'm here to give you guys an off-season recap, just in case you couldn't make it to the stream 2 weekends ago. I know I streamed at about 9 a.m. in the morning, right before any actual NFL football happened, so that might have caught some of you guys off guard. Some of you guys weren't able to make the stream. It's understandable because Sunday morning is kind of rough. You know, you got people going to church, you got people doing other things in the morning, going grocery shopping. But the majority of my streams will be on like a weekend and like early in the morning, just because most weekends I'm gonna have to work at night. So I hope you guys understand, and I'll still be doing these recaps for most of my series at least. So if you guys enjoy the video, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit the sub button if you want more franchise content, and if you want to be notified every time I upload a video, hit that notification bell to join the notification gang. And we're gonna keep it rolling here, guys. First things first, let's check out the stats for the first year of the franchise. And Jameis Winston led the team, obviously, with 3,000 passing yards and 23 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Of course, he was the starting quarterback most of the season before he had a falling out with Bruce Arians and got suspended for the rest of the year. Louis Gibson did pretty well in relief, 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Not really ideal, but considering he was a 7th round pick, he didn't do too bad. On the ground, we did not have a 1,000-yard rusher. Peyton Barber, 955 yards. He was 45 yards away from being a 1,000-yard rusher. Did have 4 touchdowns, but also had 4 fumbles. So I'm not really sure if we're going to bring him back. Ronald Jones, just under 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. Still has another year in his contract, so he'll probably be back. Andre Ellington, 300 yards on 51 carries and 2 touchdowns, averaged 6.1 yards per carry. Gibson with 251 yards and 2 touchdowns on 35 carries. We look at the receiving yards. Mike Evans, 97 receptions, over 1,400 yards and 13 touchdowns. O.J. Howard, 84 catches, over 1,100 yards and 10 touchdowns. Those were our top 2 receivers. Chris Godwin, 78 catches, 777 yards, 6 touchdowns. Brashad Perriman, who's really the workhorse as the slot receiver, 52 catches, 685 yards, only 1 touchdown. I thought he had a much better season than this, but clearly not statistically. In his defense, however, this Buccaneers offense never really had much of an identity. At least most of the time, it really didn't seem like they did. And especially with the whole Jameis Winston drama happening mid-season, that really just killed any type of identity we could have had. But I don't know. I think Perriman is definitely somebody that I'm looking forward to bringing back. I know some people might not agree with it, but I'll at least give him a shot. And then our offensive line definitely needs to be completely revamped. A lot of these guys gave up 15+ sacks. That's just not acceptable, especially at the tackle positions. That's just ridiculous. Ollie Marpet, the only one to have single-digit sacks allowed as far as the starters go. Now defensively, Eric Berry led the team in tackles with 148. Lavonte David had 146. Justin Evans 128. Devin White 98. And when you look at tackles for a loss, Lavonte David led the team with 30. Shaq Barrett second with 20. Devin White had 19. Eric Berry had 18. So a lot of these guys definitely playmakers defensively. Vita Vea ended up leading the team in sacks with 10. Shaq Barrett and Carl Nassib tied with 8 each. And Ndamukong Suh was 4th with 5.5. Barrett, Nassib, and Suh are all in contract years, so it's going to be tough to bring all 3 of them back, but I at least want to get Barrett back. I feel like he has the most potential and the highest ceiling out of any of those 3 guys. Obviously, Suh's pretty old at this point and probably doesn't have too much left in the tank, but I will be offering all 3 of these guys contracts. We'll just have to see how that goes. Jason Pierre-Paul had a sack in his only game in the regular season, but he could still end up being a cap casualty. And then as far as interceptions go, Lavonte David and Sean Murphy-Bunting tie with 7 interceptions this year. Eric Berry had 4. Devin White and Carlton Davis had 3 each. And Vernon Hargraves had 2. But he's very likely to be gone after a really poor season last year. And Lavonte David led the team in pass deflections with 11. And he also led the team in forced fumbles and fumble recoveries. So Lavonte David still probably the best defensive player on the Buccaneers. Ryan Smith had 5 blocks this year between punts and kicks. Justin Evans had 2. And we look at safeties and touchdowns. We'll get to it in just a moment. I'm just kind of going through it in the video. That's me in the left corner. If you don't know what I look like, there you go. Devin White had a safety, and so did Benny Logan. And then as far as touchdowns go, Lavonte David also led us with defensive touchdowns with 3 on the season. A lot of defensive touchdowns for this team, which is a huge shock to me. But anyways, moving right along, you had Matt Gay, the rookie, have a really good season. Only missed 4 field goals all year. Bradley Pinion had a pretty good season punting the football with 50 punts. Jacob Spain with an amazing year kick returning. He had 3 kick returns for a touchdown and had 26.9 yards per return as far as kicking goes. Now, unlike Gibson, he wasn't drafted, so we will have to assign Jacob Spain in the offseason as well, but I'm definitely looking forward to bringing him back as a kick returner and maybe even getting him more involved in the offense, as he was really not involved much. He also had a punt return for a touchdown as well, BT dubs. And now we look at the awards. Ezekiel Elliott wins MVP. He had a ridiculous season, getting over 1,900 rushing yards. I forget how many touchdowns. I think it was like 23 or something like that. A really good season for him. Jason Garrett wins Coach of the Year. So, good season for those guys. Now, we'll just look at the NFC awards here. Zeke Elliott wins Offensive Player of the Year. Lavonte David wins Defensive Player of the Year. Eric Berry finished 2nd, and Devin White finished 5th. So, now we look at the Rookies of the Year. Offensive Rookie goes to Kyler Murray. Louis Gibson finishes 2nd. No surprise with Murray, though. Obviously, him being the starter from day one definitely gave him an advantage. And Defensive Rookie of the Year is Devin White, although Sean Murphy-Bunting definitely made a case to win Defensive Rookie. Both of them had great rookie seasons for Tampa Bay. Best quarterback ended up being Drew Brees, and that's not really much of a surprise. We actually didn't even register a quarterback because of the split between Gibson and Winston. Best running back was Zeke Elliott. Again, no surprise there. Mike Evans actually was the best receiver. I believe he led the league in receiving yards and receiving touchdowns. It might be one or the other, I don't remember. Cameron Jordan wins the best defensive lineman, and we didn't even register a guy there, even though I think Vea should have been up there, to be honest with you. Best linebacker was Lavonte David, again, no surprise. Devin White and Shaq Barrett were both up there as well. Sean Murphy-Bunting wins best defensive back over the likes of Richard Sherman, Shaquille Griffin, and Patrick Peterson. Eric Berry finished 6th. And then Matt Gay finishes 4th in best kicker. Robbie Gould ends up winning that. So here's the big announcement for this series going forward. I'm going to be controlling all 32 teams in this franchise just to have a little more realistic control on re-signings, trades, and all that. Now, obviously, I'm not going to rig it to make the Buccaneers the best team, because that just wouldn't be fun for me. And honestly, there's just no sense in doing that. It's mainly just to control who they sign, who they release, who they trade, and whatnot. And I did add a few new coaches, as some coaches did get fired. Kevin Stefanski, the offensive coordinator for the Vikings, comes over to the Giants to be the head coach. And Byron Leftwich, the former starting quarterback for the Jaguars, becomes the head coach, leaving Tampa Bay. So we say goodbye to Leftwich. Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs, has become the Lions head coach. Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator for the Colts, is now the Panthers head coach. Josh McDaniels, who was the offensive coordinator for the Patriots, is now their head coach. Lincoln Riley comes from Oklahoma to become the Raiders head coach, so he'll be coaching Derek Carr over there. And the biggest rivalry in the AFC North just got even bigger with Jim Harbaugh joining the Steelers. Mike Tomlin retired. Dabo Swinney leaves Clemson to become the head coach of the Houston Texans, so he rejoins Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins. And then Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator for the Browns, goes to Minnesota to be the head coach for the Vikings. And the Chargers beat the Saints 35-21, so Drew Brees unable to get his revenge on his former team, as Phillip Rivers finally gets that ring that has been eluding him his entire career. So congratulations to the Chargers. Still hate him though. And now we move on to the re-signing period, and we got a lot of guys we got to make decisions on. First and foremost, Eric Berry. He is 31 years old, but I decided to sign him back for one more year. He's going to get offered 1 year, $9 million, including a $4 million signing bonus. So we offer it to him, and he decides to accept, so Eric Berry returns for at least one more year with Tampa Bay. Corey Grant just didn't really do enough for me to want to bring him back, so I decided that I wasn't going to negotiate with him. And see you later, Corey Grant. As you see, I withdraw any offer that I had to him. I did the same thing with Benny Logan. I just think I can improve on the D-line. And then Ahkello Witherspoon. I wasn't really a big fan of him this year, but I decided to give him one more season. He's a pretty young guy, so I'll see what he can do this year. Jacob Spain, like I mentioned earlier, I'm definitely going to try to re-sign here. And I offer him a 4-year deal worth $12 million with a $4 million signing bonus, and he decides he's going to accept it. So hopefully we develop him some more. I also decided to re-sign Anthony Firkser to a non-guaranteed contract. He's another young player on this team who I feel like has a lot of potential. I also signed BC Johnson to a 1-year deal as well. And Nick Fitzgerald is also going to get a 1-year deal. He really wasn't that impressive for me at all in his only start, and we were lucky to win that game the way we did. He resigns as well. So now we got to offer Shaq Barrett big money. Otherwise, he's going to be walking. So I offer him a 3-year deal worth $27 million, including a $9 million signing bonus. And if he doesn't re-sign, I at very least have to consider putting the franchise tag on him. But luckily, I don't have to do that because he accepted the contract, and we get Shaq Barrett back. So I'm happy about that. Now, Peyton Barber, he's a guy I really wasn't expecting to sign back. I really didn't even want to offer him a contract, but people in the stream decided that I should at least just give him a 1-year deal. So I decided to at least offer him a 1-year deal worth $5 million, a 1.5 signing bonus, and he says no, sir. So that pretty much squashed any chances of me bringing him back. And then Carl Nassib was another guy that I really wanted to bring back, so I offered him a 2-year deal worth $13 million, and he said he's just not interested in signing, which was really disappointing to me. So now I got to replace our outside linebacker. And then Noah Spence, offered him a $3 million deal for 1 year. I mean, he didn't really do much for the team at all. He was more of a reserve pass rusher, but he didn't even really get in like that. I offer him the deal, and he decides to decline and test for agency as well. I don't think he's going to get as good of a deal on the open market, but that's just me. Rashad Perriman was a guy I felt like I really needed to re-sign. So I offer him a 2-year deal worth $7.5 million. And I actually bumped it up a little bit to make it like 7.8, somewhere around that number. And he decides to accept, so we get our slot receiver back, Bo Allen. Offered him a non-guaranteed contract just because I wanted to see what he could do, but he decides he's going to test free agency as well. Deion Buchanan was really clutch for us as a sub linebacker, especially during the season when Devin White got hurt. I offered him a pretty low contract. I kind of lowballed him, and he definitely felt that way, so he decided he wasn't going to resign with us. So now we check out a few retirements. Lorenzo Alexander and Ty Nsekhe retire from the Bills. Evan Smith retires from us. He was our backup center this year behind Ryan Jensen. Andy Lee, Larry Legend, and T. Sizzle all retire for the Cardinals. So an end of an era as far as receiver goes. Thomas Davis finally retires with the Chargers, winning a ring. Jason Witten, after only coming back for 1 season, retires from the Cowboys. Former Tennessee Titan William Hayes retires with the Dolphins after 12 years. So he decides to hang it up. And then Jason Peters, after 16 years with the Eagles, retires. Joe Staley retires from the 49ers. Antoine Bethea retires from the Giants. John Sullivan retires. Danny Amendola retires as well. Tramon Williams retires. Ben Watson and Michael Bennett retire as well. Richie Incognito retires. Eric Weddle and Andrew Whitworth retire. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie and Adrian Peterson both retire from the Redskins. Drew Brees retires after 19 seasons. Dwayne Brown retires. Jeremy Parnell also retires. And Cameron Wake retires, and that's going to do it for your retirements. So now we head into free agency, and the first thing I'm looking for is a featured running back. And we have a very strong cast of running backs, at least at the top. Kareem Hunt, Derrick Henry, Austin Eckler, and Jordan Howard, all available in free agency. Also, CJ Anderson's there, but he's kind of on the older side. And as a Titans fan, you guys already knew who I was going after. Derrick Henry. Tennessee just decided to lowball in the entire regular season, so he decides he wants to test free agency, and I'm definitely going to offer him a contract. It's a 5-year deal worth $37.5 million, including a $15 million signing bonus. And we'll have to see if he re-signs to that. We're also looking at Jack Conklin, another Titan. Tennessee trying to bring him back, but we're going to offer him a 3-year deal, and it's going to be worth $28.5 million, including $10.5 in bonuses. And that's just what I offered at first. I decided to bump it up a little bit as far as overall salary goes. And now it's pretty much going to be over $30 million in total salary and bonuses. So we'll have to see if he accepts that one. It's looking really good right now. And Al Woods, we're going to go after him as well. He's also another former Titan. We just kind of need depth on the defensive line. He's getting offered a 1-year deal worth $2.27 million. We'll have to see if he accepts that. We also initially had interest in Yannick Ngakoue. If we signed him, we'd probably move him out to outside linebacker as he's sitting at right end right now. But that would be a huge addition to us. And we offer him a pretty good deal. It's a 3-year deal worth $32.5 million. But we decided to withdraw it because I didn't really want to stretch myself out too thin, because I also wanted to go after former Jaguar Myles Jack. We offer him a huge contract, as you're about to see in just a moment. We actually improve on the deal we had initially, and we offer him a 5-year deal worth $52.3 million, and we'll have to see how that goes. We also decided to go after Kendall Fuller because we definitely need a competent corner across from Sean Murphy-Bunting, as our secondary was by far the worst in NFL history. So we're looking to improve, and one way to improve your secondary obviously is to sign a cornerback. So I offered Kendall Fuller a 4-year deal worth $70 million, although he is getting a lot of offers from other teams, so I don't know if that's going to be enough to bring him into Tampa, but I had to at least try. So there you go. We're in first place at least now, and I decided to make a few cuts here. Vernon Hargraves, who has been a real disappointment, I decided to cut him from the team. I also cut Jason Pierre-Paul because the penalty is so small and he's making a lot of money. I'll probably re-sign Jason Pierre-Paul at some point, but we'll have to see. It's got to be for a lot cheaper than what he was going to be worth this year. And I decided to offer Ndamukong Suh a contract to come back. And this is the offer I give him. It's a 1-year deal worth $8 million, and hopefully he re-signs with that. And I did offer Ngakoue another contract, but I totally forgot to include it in the video, so my fault on that. But it wouldn't even really matter because Ngakoue would not re-sign with us, as you're going to see. He rejects our contract. I think he went to the Bills. Al Woods did sign with us, as did Jack Conklin, as did Myles Jack, but Kendall Fuller, even with the $70 million deal I gave him, rejected it. But we did get Derrick Henry and Ndamukong Suh back. And I decided to move Myles Jack to free safety. I mean, I like Justin Evans, don't get me wrong, but I just need more of a playmaker there, and Myles Jack fits the bill perfectly. So back into free agency. And with our failure to sign Kendall Fuller, I decided to turn my attention to Anthony Brown. And I decided that I'm going to offer him a contract. It's going to be a 3-year deal worth about $31.4 million over those 3 years, but we're gonna have to see if we can bring him in, as the Saints are also vying for him, as are the Seahawks. So now we take a quick moment to take a look at the free agency situation at quarterback, and essentially the Titans, Colts, and Saints all swap quarterbacks, as Teddy Bridgewater goes from New Orleans to Tennessee, Jacoby Brissett goes from Indianapolis to New Orleans, and then Mariota goes from Tennessee to Indy. So that was pretty interesting. But anyways, now looking at Wyatt Teller, we offer him a 1-year deal worth $1.55 million just to get some more depth on the offensive line. Now we look at PJ Williams, just in case Anthony Brown doesn't work out. I'm going to offer PJ Williams a 1-year deal worth $1.1 million because it doesn't look like anybody's really offering him anything. We might have to update that, however. And Deshaun Kaiser is another guy that we decided to sign just to get another body into camp. But it doesn't really seem like anybody's going after him, so I'm going to lowball him just as I did with PJ Williams. So Kaiser going to get $1.1 million for 1 year. We'll see if he accepts that. Doesn't look like it though. as Teller would accept our contract, but Anthony Brown wouldn't. So now on the third day of free agency, we go after PJ Williams. With the Raiders offering him more money, we had to offer him more money for him to accept our contract. We offer him 3 years, $19.4 million, and as you're going to see in just a moment, he decides he accepts the deal. So PJ Williams moving over from the Saints over to the Buccaneers. So I'm definitely happy to get a Florida State alum on this team. Now we head to the draft, and I definitely plan on going heavy with the offensive line in this draft, as we really needed offensive linemen. And at number 25, or 26 that is, I'm thinking between Dylan Boyd, who's a left guard, and Blake George, who's a left guard. Dylan Boyd has a really good run blocking grade, A-, a B+ impact block, and B+ run block power. But that bench press looked really good with 37 reps, so I decided to draft Boyd, and to my delight, he's a 76 overall. Now, only a normal dev, so that's kind of disappointing, but he's 5th ranked in true value. 90 strength, so he's definitely strong like I thought he would be. 82 run block, 74 pass block. So definitely a guy who can start from day one at right guard. And then I decided to do a trade with the Chicago Bears. I offered them my 2nd round pick and my 3rd round pick from this year, and my 2nd for next year for their 2 2nd round picks this year. Let me know in the comment section if you think this was a fair trade or not. I feel like it was pretty fair. Most people in the chat were saying it was fair, so I decided to go with it. And obviously, since I control all 32 now, it went through. And with the 4th pick in the 2nd round, I decided to pick up Dalton Mays, a strong safety out of Tennessee, just like Eric Berry. And he is a 74 overall with a hidden talent dev. So I definitely made a good decision in trading up for him, because he could have ended up in anybody else's hands. I just had a feeling about him. 18th overall in true value. And he's not great as far as coverage goes, but we can definitely develop him. He has a really good hit power rating with 86. His pursuit's at 80. His speed's at 89. He might not start over Barry, but he can definitely learn from him this year. So now at pick 23 in the 2nd round, I'm thinking between Blake George, Denton Bauer, and Tim Mentor. Bauer looked really enticing there. Virgil Betts is another guy. But I decided, instead of going offensive line again, I was going to draft Kayvon Miller. This is RMP's player, by the way. Make sure you guys go check out RMP. A man coverage and A zone coverage. It's definitely what we need at corner. And he's a 72 overall, only 21 years old, so plenty of time to develop. He's 6'2", which is pretty tall for a corner. 98 speed, 86 man coverage, 86 zone coverage. His problems really are jumping, catching, and tackling, and play recognition. So we're going to have to work on all that, as well as press coverage. But I'm definitely happy with the selection of Kayvon Miller. He'll probably be our 3rd corner, our slot corner this year, behind Sean Bunting and PJ Williams. So now in the 3rd round, I decided to go to left tackle to pick up Tim Mentor, the undersized left tackle. Colin Mentor is one of my patrons, created this guy. He's 6 foot even, 280 pounds, so he's very undersized for an offensive lineman in general. But he's a 69 overall, giggity, which is good for 49 in true value. And I accidentally skipped over his actual attributes. And then at right tackle, I decided to pick up Carl Lavos, who's one of my other boys' players, Walter White, aka Colton, big time supporter of the channel. I pick up his player, and he's also a 69 giggity, and he's 50th in true talent. And another developmental offensive lineman. He also has a hidden dev, so we're getting a lot of hidden dev guys in this draft. A lot of sub players as well. Now in the 5th round, with pick number 26, I really had a hard time deciding who to pick, but I just decided, hey, let's go running back. And I picked up Leonard Dixon. He's a 65 overall out of Iowa State. And then in the 6th round, I also picked up Nelson Dawson, who's a 68 overall and a hidden dev. This is just a player I found. He looked like a diamond in the rough, so I decided to give him a shot. Not sure how much playing time he's going to get behind Miles Jack, but I decided to pick him up regardless. But here's just a quick look at Tim Mentor. He's 86 pass blocking, 73 run blocking, so he'll probably be my starting left tackle, although I definitely expect Donovan Smith and Carl Lavas to give him a fight. Now we look at the roster quickly right after the draft. Louis Gibson still the starting quarterback, and then we also have Chad Kelly and Nick Fitzgerald. Derrick Henry pretty much the de facto starting running back. Ronald Jones right behind him. Leonard Dixon and Bruce Sanderson, who was on my practice squad, right behind him. And pretty much the same receiver room for the most part, with the addition of Olabisi Johnson and a few other practice squad guys. We still got Evans, Godwin, and all them boys. Same thing at tight end. Left tackle, Donovan Smith. His job is on the line at this point with Tim Mentor and Carl Lavos coming onto the team. I decided to move Dylan Boyd to right guard just because we already have Marpet starting at left guard, so Boyd can move to right to start there. Ryan Jensen still the starting center and a team captain. Jack Conklin pretty much going to be the starting right tackle unless Lavos has an amazing preseason. You'll see next video whether or not that is the case. And my dumb self decided to not really address outside linebacker or defensive end, and that's why we only have 2 defensive ends on the roster and 3 outside linebackers. We'll fix that between now and the next video, obviously. And Kendall Beckwith coming back from his injury this year, he'll probably be a backup. Hell, maybe I'll even move him to outside linebacker. We'll have to see. Corner, we're looking pretty good. A lot of 72 overalls with Davis, Witherspoon, and Miller, all vying for that 3rd corner spot. Miles Jack going to be the starting free safety. I moved him from outside linebacker. Justin Evans is the guy I'll probably end up trading, to be completely honest with you. I mean, he did a really good job, and I appreciate what he did for me in year 1, but we just got to move on. And of course, we got Barry and Miles at strong safety, Matt Gay at kicker, and Bradley Pinion still the punter. So that's going to do it for the off-season recap. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, you are the greatest of all time, and I really appreciate you guys. Now, if you haven't already, make sure you guys hit that like button, and if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more franchise content from Madden 20, NBA 2K20, and NCAA Football 14, then make sure you guys hit that sub button. And if you guys want to be updated every time I upload a video, hit that notification bell to join the notification gang. And if you like what I do on the channel and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron. The link's going to be in the description below. A big shout out to all my current patrons: Franchise Gaming, Vita Productions, Colin Mentor, and Joshua Fernald. And a big shout out to my only Twitch sub, C Codas. Now, becoming a patron or a Twitch sub definitely helps me out directly. Now, obviously, any donations, patronage, or Twitch subscriptions, they're not required for me to do what I do, but they're always very much appreciated. But all in all, I'm just glad you guys are here supporting this video. Thank you all so much. You guys have yourselves a wonderful rest of your day, night, or whenever you're watching this. Like I always say, guys, no matter what happens, make sure you keep that mofo rolling. And I'm out of here. Deuces.
God, they tryna turn me to a monster. Every year I'm a conquer. Okay, see, I bring the thunder. Walking in humble, Ali Muhammad. Sting you like Bumble. Running with pride. 10 over, eyes to a bliss. I don't fumble blind.